about reconciliation of relationships, because when you reconcile, you bring two parties together that were in conflict and they continue on peaceful terms. But just understand, with every reconciliation, there's acknowledgement of the past. And there's an acknowledgement that how things were in the past can't continue. So not only the pre-conflict condition is put away, besides the phase of the conflict itself, but also any expectation that things could be as they were is also put away. Both parties recognize that they need to continue, but in a new manner. That means updating their expectations and updating how they view the relationship, which is not the same relationship as before, but is a new one. If this is missing in reconciliation, then it's not reconciliation that took place. Because in reconciliation, both parties repent, both parties update their expectations, both parties let go, and both parties make effort in the better direction. And they both concede where needed. If you have, for example, that one individual says, I'm sorry, that shouldn't have happened, and they acknowledge they're wrong, they may even apologize for it, but they make no decisions to change nor improve for the better, then there's no reconciliation. The only thing that happened is that the injured party was troubled, and now the injurer acknowledges his part, acknowledges it was wrong, and now the injured party feels relief because there's recognition. And now the injured party can heal. But the injured party in this case is deceived, because the injured party thinks things have moved on. That's not true. Because the injurer in this case has not outgrown his unexamined expectations or her unexamined expectations. So similar conflicts may occur again, or even worse. That other individual has not processed the past. They have not processed their part. So that means that to them, nothing has really changed. They just got relief from feeling guilty. Let me get it straight to you. If one party acknowledges the wrong, but there's no improvement nor change on their behalf for the better, then no reconciliation has taken place. The only thing that's taken place is that one party thinks there's reconciliation, and he or she feels better because of it, and the other party also feels better, but only because he has relief from feeling guilty, or has relief from facing criminal charges or whatever. A lot of people think this is reconciliation, but both parties feel at ease and now it's all over. Well, let me tell you, this type of counterfeit reconciliation is dangerous. Let me tell you why. Let's say that one spouse betrays the other by cheating. They divorce. Both move on, both get new partners. Later they reconcile, but they acknowledge we're both married to other people now. That past relationship cannot occur again, so they so-called make peace. But here's the thing. The one that cheated still don't want to face his or her frustrated, unexamined expectations. So even if their marriage has been dissolved years ago, he or she in their new marriage still has the same unexamined expectations. And he or she can blame it all on the other why they cheated, or they come with whatever excuse they want. They're still in the negative. And with their new spouse, similar things will happen. So what has happened now? The one that was cheated upon, that was hurt, that has moved on, now has ease because recognition has come. But the other is still blaming him or her secretly, still is avoiding their own internal issues. So even though you have two couples who get along because two former lovers reconciled and they agreed to be at peaceful relations, that agreement has no deep foundation. Because for an agreement to work, both has to be on the same page in the same book. If I'm reading from a white book at page 19 and you're reading from a book, but the book is green on page 19, you can be on the same page 19, but it's the same page in different books. So it's not really the same page at all. You get what I'm saying here? So in this case, you have two couples getting along, but their getting along is a form of denial. And sooner or later, this denial will emerge again. and potential in worse conflicts. So did reconciliation take place? No. Listen, reconciliation can only take place if both parties move on and really move on. What the world calls moving on, just forgetting what happened and focusing on the new, that's repression, that's denial. To really move on means that you process things properly, give it their proper place, and you continue no matter what. That's really moving on. And look, sometimes reconciliation, therefore, is not possible. You can't reconcile with someone that doesn't want to update their way of thinking, their way of relating to other people. You can't. The fact that things went wrong in the relationship, whether it was an intense betrayal or a heavy crime or something minor, that already shows that updates were needed. And here's the thing, often people don't want to acknowledge with themselves that they need to be updated. So what happens now, they end up projecting that resistance onto someone else, or they just disappear. And they always have the reason for disappearing, and you just have to take it for granted that they just disappeared and left you stressed out with answers, you not knowing what's going on. And that's a form of selfishness, and in some cases a form of narcissism, but there are people like that. Reconciliation is really an update that takes place in relationships. And you can only update a relationship if both parties or all parties are involved, because it's not only between you and the other. There are more people involved if all parties agree with the update and learn to operate according to the update. Some folks don't want to update their way of thinking. They have their terms, how they expect people to treat them, and they don't want to evaluate them. Can you reconcile with such an individual? No, you can't. Because that individual, deep down inside, will always hold you as the accused party. Because their expectations have not developed. You, on the other hand, whether you are the injured party or the injurer, you have been delivered. You moved on. You updated your way of relating to other people. So you have really moved on. The other didn't. Only when you move on can you reconcile. So for example, if you have an ex and you think you may reconcile and have a good future together, look, I'm not a fortune teller, so I'm not going to say whether it will work out or not. I don't know. If you're a believer, you have the Holy Spirit. Agree with Him, walk with Him, walk in His power, and things will work out for you. What I'm just informing you here is the following. If your ex, in the long run, is not willing to update her or his expectations, I'm telling you, don't reconcile. Don't reconcile, I'm telling you, don't. And apart from romantic settings, this applies for all human relationships. If the other is not willing to update their way of relating to you or relating to others or relating to themselves, if they're not willing to update their way of thinking in the long run, please don't reconcile. Listen, it may take a while before someone has updated their way of thinking. But if someone doesn't even have any interest in updating their way of thinking, I'm telling you, don't reconcile. Walk in love towards them, walk in peace towards them, but don't walk with them. I'm telling you, don't. Of course you forgive. Of course you walk in love towards others. Of course you move on. Just realize, some folks don't want to move on. They just want to be relieved and cut things off. They want to cut people off. They want to cut circumstances off just to be left alone, to be at ease. That's their whole thinking. So it appears as if after they discarded you, after they've thrown you out of their lives, that things are far better with them. It's a lie. There is no long-term happiness or long-term joy possible when you have an inconsistent way of thinking, which is negative. That's not possible. You can only get intense relief that will fade away over time. And that intense relief that fades over time is what a lot of world people call happiness. That's what they're chasing. So they don't even realize what they're chasing. Well, it's not really worth it. Look, not everyone wants to be updated, so don't force them to be updated. Look, you can push someone to be updated. You can do that, and sometimes you should, indeed, but forcing them, so putting all your strength in changing them how you want them, don't do that. You know why? Because even if it works, it will be at your expense. And secondly, only they can agree with an update. You can't. You can force them into an update, but if you don't agree with it, it won't last for long. Well, you just need to accept that certain people will be only part of your past. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. And some people cut you off and throw you away because they don't want to update how they relate to you. They can relate to you in a blessed manner, and you are part of their lives. You may not be part of their daily life. You don't have contact with them every day, but you can be a part of their life, and they can have a blessed connection to you. But they refuse to have a blessed connection to you because they don't want to face the darkness inside. So that's why they project this resistance onto you and they act it out onto you. You know what? That's not you. That's them. For you, agree with Christ and be at peace.